Welcome everyone to the Cat's Meowth and my first CGC return of over 200 cards. So since there are so many cards to go through, I'm going to go ahead and start showing them while I kind of talk about the submission. So this is my first and only submission to CGC, and this may be the only submission I do of commons and uncommons. This was made 9-10 months ago. And my goal, my overall goal with this submission is to kind of get a feel of what my cards are going to grade at the CGC level versus PSA. I currently have about 1,000 cards sent off to PSA. One of those submissions is, I believe, close to being returned. I do have a few grades back on that, and some of the grades in that submission, I don't have all of the grades yet, do include 10s. And all of the cards you're seeing are being stored in exactly the same way as the cards I've sent off to PSA. So my overall goal was to see, based on my storage techniques, a lot of you guys have kept up with me from the early days and know that a lot of the cards that are in my collection I have pulled straight from the pack, put to a sleeve, and put in a binder page. So as you can see, we're seeing a lot of 8.5s, several 9s, some 8s, and there are going to be a few 9.5s mixed in here as well. I submitted so many cards at once, like there's a nice 9.5 and it happens to be on a Bulbasaur. But I submitted so many cards at once so I could get a bulk rate as far as the price of grading per card, so that if the market could just completely collapsed, this submission would not be a financial disaster. And I guess I should also point out that every single one of the cards in this video are for sale. I'm not currently doing any trades because I'm really currently not collecting Pokemon anymore. I'm going to try and get a list of all of the cards you see here and their grades and eventually prices up to that WotC site. I think that's going to be the easiest way to share that information. I am still currently pricing everything. There are a few, like this base set is mostly complete. I believe there were a few cards that I pulled that I just saw some like print errors or whitening that just came from being bounced around in the pack and didn't feel comfortable sending those off. So unfortunately, this is not a complete common and uncommon set of the base set, but it is mostly complete. And I'm hoping that there might be a buyer for just like the entire base set. There will be some Japanese base, fossil, jungle, English as well, a handful of first editions, I believe a partial set of fossil, but I'm hoping to be able to sell some of these, like I said, as sets, or well, I guess impartial sets. Sorry, not impartial sets, partial sets. Okay, so we are finishing up here with the base set. There were a few cards, like I said, that I had to pull, and I believe a few of them were the energy cards. They actually had print rings on them, which was quite weird. So I know it's going to probably be hard to find a buyer that's interested in buying these as sets. So I am working on individual prices and will have a list of those up on WotC just as soon as I can. Again, Facebook will, all these will be posted to Facebook. And if they don't sell on Facebook, they will be posted to eBay. Again, these are all for sale. I'm not interested in keeping any of these for my personal collection. And this submission is going to help me determine what cards I think would be worth to send off to CGC versus which cards are going to be worth to hang on to and wait for PSA's either lower rates to open up, or I do have a handful of cards that might be worth sending in at the higher rates. It's just going to take a little bit of consideration to figure that out. So now we are into the Japanese base set stuff. So as you can see, we're already seeing some higher grades, and that really doesn't surprise me because Japanese cards, they just, they're that much better in quality. It's harder to damage them. They're thicker, they're more resistant to damage, and so I'm really not surprised by seeing all these 9s. The only bummer Well, not maybe only bummer. Charmander here only got an 8.5. Charmeleon only got an 8, but then we bounce back up to the 9s. But that's okay. Again, I believe this is a partial set. I think there were a few cards that after looking at, especially the back edges, that's where you can see a lot of the whitening. That's kind of the first sign of damage to appear. I am pleased with this 9.5 on Magikarp though. But so I will have to probably go through to determine how complete of a set this is. But this, again, just like the English set, should be a near complete common and uncommon set. And even for individual prices, like I said, I'm not nearly done pricing everything out. But a lot of the cards are going to be priced at what's I think believe the current grading price. I think even CGC is up to a base of $15 per card, assuming that's a low enough value. And so I believe if I were to get all these cards, all the cards you're seeing graded today, they'd be about roughly $15 a card. And a lot of these will be for sale for $15 a card. So, like I said in the earlier, this was more of a test run. I hope that I included enough good stuff in here that this I will at least break even, if not make a small or reasonable profit off of this. And we're wrapping up now with the Japanese base set. And I don't think I've actually said anything about how to contact me if you're interested in buying anything. Best way is TheCatsMeowth@gmail.com. As far as I know, because I don't upload a lot to YouTube anymore, the messaging system via YouTube is non-existent. So email or commenting is really the only way to get a hold of me. And comments, I'll certainly respond to any comments that I see, but I'm probably just going to be telling you my email address and how to contact me directly. I don't do a lot with my Twitter. I really don't do a lot with my Instagram. So email is really the only way, TheCatsMeowth@gmail.com. So now we have a few Jungle First Edition cards. Now, most of these I did not pull myself, and so that's why there's only a handful. So the Rapidash was a very nice 9. Tauros, a little sad at the 8.5. Oddish with 8.5. And now we're back into cards that I pulled myself that you can go back and view the openings on this channel. So here's my Jungle Unlimited set. And we're still seeing a lot of 8.5, some 9 sprinkled in there. I actually just kind of out of curiosity just did an eBay search for CGC 10 cards, and I think I found 2. Not just from Wizards of the Coast or any particular set, just across the board. So it seems like 10s are extremely difficult to come by from CGC, and based on some of the prices that I've seen, it seems like a CGC 9.5 is kind of like what a PSA 10 would be. And I say that not expecting the same value in those two different, very differently graded cards, but more just to be compared to cards within the grading company itself. A PSA well, any PSA graded card still seems to have significantly more value than a CGC equivalent, and I don't really want to get into, like, I don't really have a preference in grading companies. I think CGC has a reputation for being a bit tougher on the cards, and so a higher grade with CGC I think means a little more than PSA, but personally I'm selling off everything in my collection, and so what it really comes down to for me is value. And I believe from everything that I've seen, the value right now is heavily in PSA's favor. Now what that will mean in 2, 5, 10 years, I don't know. I would like to predict that PS or CGC, based on its tougher grading, will take the lead at some point, but I just can't. So we're down to the last couple of stacks, continuing on with the Jungle series. If there's anything I've missed in this video as far as any sort of information, just email me. That's the best way to get a hold of me. We are now into the Fossil First Edition set. And again, this was another set that I pulled myself. However, this set I pulled myself as a kid, and so a lot of these cards didn't go straight to a sleeve. I believe they were sent to like a card storage box, and then later on I pulled individual cards and put them into sleeves and into binders. So I'm not that disappointed or surprised by the 8s. I think I still kind of hoped for better. And I think this is again, this really is a run to serve as a guide for myself. So if I can recognize cards that I pulled more in my preteen days, then maybe these aren't the cards that I would like to send in. But as you can see, a lot of them are still getting 8.5s, which are near mint cards. So if I were selling them ungraded to anyone, near mint is probably the best I'm going to call anything. I really don't feel comfortable calling any of my raw cards mint. So overall, these are still very reasonable grades. Like I said earlier, I think I was still expecting a couple of 10s or more 9.5s, just because I know that almost all of these cards went straight from the pack to the sleeve to the binder, and then were never touched again until they were sent into CGC. Here is the Unlimited Fossil set, and this was a set that I opened as part of my big, was it 2,575 pack opening. And we are down to almost the very last stack of CGC cards. So again, I apologize if this hasn't been the most exciting video. I've been meaning to update my just general sale video. I've got lots of stuff for sale, but I've been mostly selling on Facebook Marketplace with a handful of cards on eBay. Doing the videos for YouTube, because there are so many binders. I think I've got like a dozen of these zippered 12-page sheet binders. So yeah, it's several thousand cards that would go into a single YouTube sale video. So I do apologize for not updating that recently. And I believe that is the end of the uncommon fossils, and now we're going into the common fossils. Like I said earlier in this video, I don't know if I'm going to be sending off any more commons and uncommons, but this kind of tells me what cards that I might be willing to let CGC grade and still get, you know, a comparable value close to PSA. Right now, I think the CGC is doing a fantastic job as far as accurate grading and long-term value. I think as far as short-term value, PSA is still the way to go. I'll be honest, I've never sent anything into Beckett, so I really cannot report on them personally. And we are getting close to the end of the stack. So again, if there's any questions, TheCatsMeowth at gmail.com. And I apologize, I keep knocking the camera. The stack of cards to my right is getting quite close to the camera. So we are into the trainers. I do still have, I've got tons of stuff I've set aside as being PSA candidates, and I believe some of those are commons and uncommons from the Wizards of the Coast era, but not quite, I knocked the camera again, I apologize, to the extent that you'll see probably in this video. Everything that I have sent off to PSA are pretty higher end cards like stars and other various ultra rares. So I believe that ends it. That's all of the 200 and I believe 1 cards that I sent into CGC. If you made it through this entire video, thank you so much for watching. And if you're interested in buying anything, send me an email at thecatsmeowth@gmail.com.